Welcome to the Midweek message. We're taking some lessons from the book of Ecclesiastes. I'm reading in chapter 9 of that book, verses 13 through 16, and reading from the New International Version of the Bible. Solomon said in verse 13 of Ecclesiastes 9, "I also saw under the sun this example of wisdom that greatly impressed me. There was once a small city with only a few people in it, and a powerful king came against it, surrounded it, and built huge siege works against it. But there lived in that city a man poor but wise, and he saved the city by his wisdom. But nobody remembered that poor man. So I said, wisdom is better than strength, but the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are no longer heeded." Let's look at these verses individually. This is a lesson that Solomon took from an observation of something that happens on earth, and as a matter of fact, it happens quite frequently. It's a common thing and a source of discouragement for many people. Solomon said in verse 13, we're looking at these verses individually, "I also saw under the sun this example of wisdom that greatly impressed me." So Solomon said, this made a huge impression on me, and this type of thing makes a huge impression on other people today as well. Here's what it was, verse 14. "There was once a small city with only a few people in it, and a powerful king came against it, surrounded it, and built huge siege works against it." So little town, not very many people lived there. A powerful king came against a little town, brought so many people with him that he surrounded the entire city and built siege works, built earthen ramps up to the walls of the city to be able to go over the walls, or built other threatening edifices around the city. He's going to conquer the city. He's going to starve them out. The powerful king came against the city, surrounded it, and cut off the supplies. Little town, what are they going to do? Only a few people live there. Powerful king. Verse 15. Now, and how many times are people, by the way, ill-equipped to deal with the significant problems in their lives? They're like that little city facing a powerful king. Verse 15. "Now there lived in that city a man poor but wise, and he saved the city by his wisdom, but nobody remembered that poor man." Now this is the evil that Solomon's speaking of, that he's been referencing throughout the book of Ecclesiastes. In that little city there was a man that had great wisdom, but he was poor. The overlooked are always the poor. People that don't have social status have a tendency to be ignored in our society, at least. But in that city, this society too, the poor man lived, but he was wise, and he came up with a plan that saved the city. The little city, he saved it against the powerful king. But as soon as they were saved, those in the city forgot this fellow. Remember the 10 lepers that were healed by Jesus, and only one returned to give him thanks. The other ones just ran off. That's the way people are. What have you done for me lately? But I'll even forget what you've done lately as soon as it's through. And so nobody remembered the poor man. They forgot him. How many people have contributed great value to society, monetarily, physically, spiritually, emotionally? How many people have been great supports, and they're largely unnoticed? They're like the roots of trees. You don't notice them, but they hold the entire edifice up. How many people are supporting their entire families that they are ignored? How many people that have been good sons and daughters get left out of the will of their parents when they die? And so it's common, rather common, for a person to do something of great value and then be forgotten. And that's what happened to this poor man. So Solomon drew a conclusion. "So I said," verse 16, "wisdom is better than strength, but the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are no longer heeded." Wisdom is better than strength. Why? Because wisdom defeated the powerful king. The wisdom of a poor man defeated the powerful king. However, if a person does not have social status, if they don't have money, that trumps everything else. Solomon also said, money answers all things. Today people say money talks. Because this poor person had wisdom, it was forgotten. He was overlooked, and his words are no longer heeded. Common occurrence in the world in which we live is that people are overlooked and their contributions are ignored.